Hi, I'm Ted Giovanis, president and founder of the Jayne Koskinas Ted Giovanis Foundation for Health and Policy. I'd like to welcome you all to one of our series of podcasts. Today, we have Dr. Paul Macklin, who's with Indiana University. Paul, why don't you tell the viewers, listeners, a little bit about yourself?
Well, hi, I'm Paul Macklin. I'm a professor of intelligent systems engineering at Indiana University. Also, like a lot of people now, wear two hats. My other hat is Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education, working on a lot of the degree programs here at our school. But my day job, and the one that I'm working with Ted on, is on developing simulation models of cancer.
Yeah, and now we're just going to ask you a series of questions, and you can pause at the answers. The first question is, what is the key question your research is trying to answer?
Okay, well, this is really fun. So I'm a mathematician by my background, so I look at things a little bit different than a traditional cancer biologist, but I'm really interested in understanding how cells in cancer talk to each other and what is that dialogue, how they talk to each other through things like secreted chemical factors, through physical forces, through contact, and understanding how cancer cells will re-engineer the behavior of the cells around them to turn the tissues around them to their benefit so they can survive and so they can invade the immune system and things like this. So we work with wonderful collaborators who've been funded by TED and by others to get amazing experiments that kind of start teasing out what some of these this dialogue is between different cell types. And then my lab works on taking the things we've learned from the biologists and turning these into lines of simulation code and into mathematics and building mathematical models that go from running really slow, expensive experiments to creating a virtual laboratory. We can ask what if questions very quickly. What if we change the behavior of T cells? What if we introduce a new chemical factor or a drug that changes the behavior of macrophages? What if we change the balance of the cell types? Can we take what we knew about how individual cells act and scale that up in a virtual experiment to say, how is that cancer ecosystem going to change? And can we drive it to control? Or even better, can we drive it to elimination? And so that's kind of our main goal here, is to understand how cells talk to each other and help build the tools that let us ask these questions very, very quickly so we can steer future experiments and future clinical trials.
Yeah, and and I say that in short, it helps us learn more faster. And now the next question is, how has your research approach impacted your life outside your lab?
I think that's a really fun question to think about, because we often kind of separate our private lives from our science lives, but really, you really can't, right? And kind of this deliberative, iterative approach that we use in research has really kind of infected how I do things at home too. Things like buying decisions, getting a car, fixing the house, college applications, all these things, they'll have you have to kind of do that background reading and understand what's going on, make informed choices, and then things just don't always go right. And so kind of putting on that scientist hat and take a step back and kind of calming down and saying, okay, we're upset things happen, let's calm down and say, what happened here? What do we think caused it to happen? And can we come up with a better protocol for the next time it comes along so we just do a little better? And so taking that post-mortem that you would do in research, say, hey, why did this thing fail? Let's tease it out and do it better next time, really helps me in the way I just do everyday life too.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good, like you've applied some of this. And now our last question is, what has surprised you most in working with the JKTG Foundation?
I was thinking about this one, and it's just one thing that's really apparent is just how much faster things are, and a lot less of kind of the BS and the wait, right? You do work with a traditional nonprofit or with a traditional grant funding agency, you write a proposal, you submit it, you never hear again for several months while they send it out for external review. And then they just make an up-down decision and say, okay, we decided to accept it, but you have to cut your budget by 30%. Do you want it or not? Go through all the shenanigans of bureaucrats lining up the contracts, and then finally you can go to a project. And with you and with the foundation, it has been just completely different. That it's like a true collaborative dialogue. We go through an idea and we talk it out together and say, what can we accomplish? What makes sense in scope? And we hone a project. Instead of this discrete yes, no, often no, it's what can we do together? And then when that idea really comes to agreement, we move fast. And that to me is amazing, that we say, hey, let's do this thing. And tomorrow we're working on paperwork, and within a few days, we're ready to go. And that to me is just unfathomable in any other foundation.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, and it's good to hear you say it, because that's sort of one of our hallmarks of what we try to do, is we try to do things faster, moving at the right pace with the right people. And so, and you just happen to be one of the folks that we've worked with that is truly the right person. So, but in any event, thank you, Paul, for being here, and thank you all for listening. We hope you look forward to hearing more from our researchers and the kinds of things we'll do. And as you will see, you will learn the kinds of projects that the foundation is involved in. And again, I would just say we like to believe we're learning more faster. And as the more we do this, the better off we'll all be. So thank you for listening and watching.